What's up, everybody? It's your favorite fan-made things, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at a kind of IDW representation of Rotorstorm made by a gentleman who I believe his name is pronounced PIOTR. He's got a thingiverse, he's got a couple ways for you to contact him. I'll have all that information in the description. He sent this to me so that I could show it to you guys. I'm extremely grateful he didn't have to for sure, but we're gonna take a look at him, but in order to do so, we gotta look at accessories. So here is the propellers, obviously, and these are actually a little bit more sophisticated than they seem. There's a sliding joint here that will allow you to kind of unlock the blades so that you can then collapse them together. Once they're collapsed, they'll plug into his back in robot mode, and of course, they'll plug in once they're kind of tightened up in jet or helicopter mode. It also comes with 4 missiles. They're just single cast once again, and you know they do have some sculpted detail on it in yellow, and they'll peg on to the bottom of the wings in helicopter mode. It kind of reminds me of like those old school like jet toys that had those missiles like that. So I don't know, something nostalgic about that to me. But you get 4 of them. You get 2 of the missile pods sculpted nicely, you know, design wise, and then we have the missiles. They extend and collapse. I'm guessing that's a purposeful choice. Which I think is kind of cool, and it's made up of the 3 different color plastics. You can store those on his back in robot mode, kind of either way you'd like. He can hold them and use them as guns in robot mode, once again, kind of either way you'd like. And in helicopter mode, and I guess it goes the same for robot mode as well, you can take these square tabs here and plug them into the side pieces here, or you can plug them in here, but this will defeat the purpose with the helicopter blades. But there is a notch for them to sit in down by the canopy or can of peas with the square notches, which is like, you know, once again, thoughtful. I dig it. And he also produced and designed this display base, which is pretty awesome. So you have these 2 notches here, right? And they'll peg into 2 square notches in this kind of honeycomb pattern, right? And you can do this sort of any way you'd want. I don't know if they'll fit together or not. Doesn't look like it, but whatever works, right? And then you have these 2 upper sections here. Both of them are designed the same way. There's a massive ball peg that sits inside of this chamber here, and then righty-tighty, lefty-loosey to make that exactly where you want it, which works really well and is super smart and super cool, and it's a really great design, and cheers to him for it. The helicopter piece goes like right behind his crotch, and then this slotted section fits in so that you can have it like that. The robot one works the same way. These 2 tabs go right above the waist, and then the other piece holds like the back of his pelvis. Really clever stuff. So let's talk about articulation. Obviously this is 3D printed, right? So, you know, we're kind of doing the best we can. It's a ball peg from the neck to the head. You can get up to there, down to there. You can get the swivel. You have this, and all those is 1, 2, 3 different colors of plastic, 4 if you count the neck. That's how he broke that up. Pretty smart. And then we have the 2 here on the shoulder, all black arms, blue forearms, gray and pink there, the chest, blue and pink. Like, you know, there's no paint apps, it's just different color plastics, but they're all printed, you know, accordingly to make it work, which I think is okay, for especially for fan stuff like this. So the shoulder, we have a swivel, and then we have the shoulder pad is actually on like a bit of a slider. And then we have a hinge also at the shoulder to get you up a little bit past 90 degrees, which is nice. We have a bicep swivel above the elbow, and then you have a forearm swivel. Well, I guess that's technically another bicep swivel. It's just a bit redundant. And then you have a elbow single hinge that gets you 90 degrees, swivel up and down, or hinge rather, on the wrist, and that will handle that. Same for the other side. Waist swivel is there. There's an ab crunch as well that I missed. It's crazy. And we have universals for hips. That'll get you the hips out for the full Van Damme. The full Monty. Thigh swivel at a cut joint. And then we have the knee that gets you 90 degrees. And the knee cover will rotate so you can kind of cover down on the joint, which is a nice touch. Then we have the wings down here with the different color plastics just to kind of break up, and then we had the And the feet are on ball pegs, I believe. So you get up to there, down to there, and a bit of a rocker. So, you know, I mean, nuts and bolts wise, man, like it's in there. I love people that are doing this stuff. I think it's super cool. There he is from the back without the blades on. And there he is with my IDW crew. And, you know, I mean, I think he fits in pretty nice. You know, like at a glance, I don't even think anybody would notice. It's pretty amazing. So let's get this guy transformed. And one of the things that I realized is if you take these clips, you can unclip them from the side here and open up his arms. It'll give you just a little bit more kind of space to work with. And also these little bits right here on his chest, make sure that they're slid out. And that will allow you to rock his head down. Now his head and this back piece here are on the same piece, so just slide them down and cover up on it. And then we just have to clean that up a bit. So move the canopy up, and then you can rotate these side tabs in. And then rotate this back block 180 degrees and get that up, and then make sure these are all the way up, and that'll keep that kind of in place. Take the flaps, open them up, tuck the hands in on both sides, flap up, hand in, flap down. Break at this connection and then move the forearm down and then rotate it back towards the back and then collapse the shoulder pad. And you can do that on both sides. So it's not the elbow joint, it's above the elbow. And then the forearm up, forearm down, forearm to the back, shoulder pad down. Slide the heels in and then position so that the kind of grates there at the bottom of the heel kind of form, you know, the back of the leg here. It's just a matter of getting them slid in properly. And then at the thigh swivel, rotate the legs 180 degrees on both sides. Move the legs at the hips towards the canopy and extend all of this stuff. This stuff is pretty clever, but it's a little hard to kind of keep track of everything that you need to move. So just what you need to do is extend it, and we might have to come back and sort it a little later. And you want to make sure that this section flips around 180 degrees and then comes back down and sits in. Yeah, just like that. At least I'm pretty sure anyway. If you know, if it's not right, we'll fix it later. It's hard to kind of keep my mind wrapped around where all this stuff ends up. But what I do know that we have to do is extend all of this. So maybe this angle will give you a better idea of the kind of working, you know, relationship of it all. And this has to rotate 180 degrees. And then this whole piece flips back around on top of there. The shoulder pad kind of locks it all together. Then if you turn it around 180, you can take your two sections that you just did, swing them around to the back, and then plug them in, these two pieces to one another. And they're very sturdy pegs, so that's gonna lock it in. And then you can move your wings down to the side. Then you have the canopy. Slide these two pieces off or out. Pull this piece out, swing this. This is a landing gear here as well. Then open up all of this stuff there. And then this comes back around and kind of has to get in line. And then you line it up. And it's just hard to see exactly where mine is. But line all this up and peg it in. There it is. And then you can leave this down, or it can flip around to the other side and be a landing gear. There's two other landing gears as well. Now I've got it all the way up in there, but there's two other landing gears as well. I'll show those when we get it done. Then you have this tab here. Just flip that down, and then that will lock the canopy or can of peas into the front. You know, when I do it properly, it's a little too far down at the moment. Boom. And then we have the legs. There's two flaps here. Flip them up. And then there's two locking mechanisms here. Slide them down. There's also more locking mechanisms, namely up in there. And once you unlock that, you'll be able to swing this leg out. And once you've unlocked this, this will swivel. And that's how you know that you've kind of got her. So, and I really shouldn't waste too much. There you go. And so that's split and that's split. And now there's this bit, which is a little interesting. So this splits again, right? We have this split here. It splits again here. In order to do so, you got to kind of line it up so that that notch right here lines up with this part that plugs in. And once you've done so, that'll split. Once you've got the break, you need to angle this all so that this piece covers down on the bottom of the helicopter. And then this tab here, and there's a lot of like moving pieces now, but like this tab or peg goes into that hole, and this notch here will align with that space. And it's just a matter of kind of getting it right. I'm not going to waste too much time on camera. I'm just going to see if I can kind of get her. Oh, let me see if, you know what? Let's move that. I've got these two pieces, so make sure you do that. Bring them down. Now that should go. Yep, no problem. I know that was rocky, so let's try again. We have to bend this leg down. We have to make sure that this notch in the knee lines up with this notch in the thigh. And once it has, it should split another time. Now, once you've done that, you want to bring this up and get everything in position where this is going to form the bottom. Your wing will come out, and this tab or peg is going to go in that hole, and this notch is going to go in that slot. And it's just a matter of maneuvering it and getting it right, and also being very careful because this is like somebody's passion project. So sorry about not being able to kind of do this smoothly for you. I'm uncomfortable because I don't want to cause any damage to it, but that's how it goes on that side. You need to do the same thing on the other side. I'll get it cleaned up and we'll take a look at it. My apologies. And there it is. And I think it's effective. I think it's good at what it's trying to do. This bit spins, obviously. These landing gear here do kind of fold up, you know, if you don't want them straight down or whatever. I mean, it's a small little detail, but it's something, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. I'm pretty impressed. I love, you know, people really putting their heart and soul into something. It's so obvious when they do, and I think this is a good example of when someone certainly has. And there it is next to Tiger Tracks. Final thoughts wise, let's talk about the negatives. And the only thing that I can think of negative wise to bring up is that like it is a very ambitious engineering project. Like the legs are pretty complicated, and I mean, as you guys saw me struggling. Not to say that that's saying anything, of course, but it is to say that for like a fan-made thing, it's a very ambitious attempt as far as the engineering goes, and perhaps overshoots its goal ever so slightly. But there's some people that get off on that too, you know, like the super kind of everything has to be lined up just right to make it work, etc. I'm just not one of those guys. And for something like this that you had to print off yourself at home and spend hours and materials on, etc., you know, the last thing you'd want to do is kind of cause any damage to it. At least that's how I feel. And like, you know, I could say that like, you know, it'd be nice to have like a couple paint apps on it and stuff, but I think his intention is for people to kind of build this stuff at home, and I don't want to speak for him. But if that's the case, then painting it would be kind of part of the hobby. So I don't really hold that against him. But yeah, that's all I got. Positives wise, I'm kind of easy to please on stuff like this because I'm just a fan of fan-made stuff. I think it's the coolest thing in the world when we as fans kind of lock into something and own it. You know, I just think that's awesome. I'll say that I'm most impressed by the engineering at the same breath, right? Because I kind of said, like, look, the engineering might be a little overdone here. And don't get me wrong, I still definitely think that. But at the same time, don't think for a second that I don't appreciate what it took to pull something like this off. The amount of thought that went into something like this, you know, in your garage or whatever. That kind of stuff will always impress me, you know, and I'll appreciate as well. Dude's smart. There's no doubt about it. Good color breakup with the different color plastics. It kind of makes it interesting enough where, you know, I don't know if this is any less detailed than a Chug release, you know, and this guy did it in his basement or whatever, you know, so like that says something. It's certainly thoughtful, certainly passion, all of those things I will always respond to. And this one's no different. It's really inspiring and very cool to see. If I had to nitpick something else, there's a slight tolerance thing where the head slides into the chest that it looks to be banging up his nose and chin. So that's something that if I were him, I would take a little consideration into. But don't be misled for a minute. I am very impressed by what this gentleman has pulled off. Like this, like in the Princeformer stuff, like some of the most meaningful things that I have in my collection, you know, because I know I have a personal connection with the dude that made it, you know, and a personal relationship, I should say. I just think it's awesome that these guys do this stuff. So yeah, definitely check out his stuff. He's got other things coming, other projects, and he's kind of been working on different projects for a while. So definitely check him out. I love when the fans take ownership of this stuff, man. I think it's awesome. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.